two members from the Ministry of Health. I have Ms. Keitha Kennedy, Coordinator, AIDS Prevention and Control, and I also have Seema Prasad, Coordinator, Program Implementation, NARAP. So good morning and welcome, ladies.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
So we were just talking about some non-communicable diseases, but then there are other things that we need to pay attention to, one of which is HIV and AIDS.
Yes.
Why don't we take this so seriously, or as seriously as we should in Trinidad and Tobago?
When we were in the past, like when we were ramping up all our education sessions, we had more of a buy-in. But now I think persons, because they have heard about HIV, the name HIV, they tend to think that they know. But when you engage them and you ask them questions, you realize that, no, you really don't. So we at the Ministry of Health, we continue to have our outreaches. We continue to engage our patients at our clinics to bring that information to them.
Yeah, because there is a stigma attached to it. You know, everybody hear HIV or AIDS and they're like, it's doom and gloom right there.
Yes.
And, you know, I don't want to be around this person. I don't want to be around that person. But as you said, education is important for people to understand what it really is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Sometimes I have had clients tell me in a simple work environment where colleagues perceive that they may be infected with HIV. There's a problem even in the kitchen, lunchroom, bathrooms, and these kinds of things. And it has a major effect on that individual. It affects their work. It even affects them when they go home to their families. So we, as ourselves as the ministry, we are focusing on these types of issues, and we are bringing it mainly to the workplace as well, because the age group that we tend to see the highest incidence of HIV is the 59 to 49 age group, and that is predominantly our workforce. Yeah. So we have engaged the workplace and workplace policies. Yes.
And that is important. But Carnival season is here, and NARAP is the National Alcohol and Drug Abuse Prevention Program. And this is a time where people will probably tend to consume more alcohol, probably get and do drugs or whatever. And it is important for us to know not to overdo it.
Certainly.
I don't know why we have to reinforce this, but it is important too.
Certainly. And like you said, this is the time when alcohol use in particular is most prevalent. And just like the HIV coordinating unit, HACU, and certain divisions of the Ministry of Health, our focus is on education to help the population understand the risks that are inherent in the overconsumption of alcohol, in particular during this period.
What are some of the risks associated with the consumption of alcohol?
Of course, so we have, just want to add to the conversation happening earlier where we were talking about dehydration.
Yeah.
So alcohol in and of itself is a dehydrating fluid. So that added to the sun, of course, there's a risk of dehydration. There is also the fact to consider that alcohol lowers inhibition, so personal safety can be compromised because of intoxication. So we have higher incidence of, attacks and so on. Persons find themselves in situations because of the lowered inhibitions, that whole risk-taking behavior.
Yeah, and it is important. So I want to tie this back here now, because people drink alcohol, their inhibitions are lower, and now they might do things when they wake up the next morning, they're going to regret it.
Yeah, when you are under the influence, it tends to impair your judgment. So something you would normally do, you would engage in. And around Carnival time, we see that there are a lot of more casual sexual exchanges. Persons tend to feel this is a time to free, but we must remember that you must protect yourself. You must take care of yourself and your partner as well, your friends as well, inform them, because after Carnival, there's life after Carnival. So Carnival is for a period of time, but you have to continue. So we want to encourage the public, have a good time, free up yourself, have a good time. It's in our culture as Trinidadians, but still be mindful.
But how do you prevent yourself from reaching to a position? I mean, it's a mind thing. You know, you have alcohol, your inhibitions are lowered. So how do you really, control that and control the other person as well?
Well, you're going to affect, as we say. You walk with condoms. If you know to yourself, you are that type of individual that something, as soon as you have a couple of drinks too many, you may engage in this kind of activity. So if the situation does arise, there's something in place rather than you just walk unprepared.
And just to get back with the National Alcohol and Drug Abuse Prevention Program, anything in particular being done right now to raise awareness?
So our focus is education, and we, throughout the past couple months, from Christmas into Carnival, our drug education officers have been out in schools sharing information about the risks involved in alcohol and other drugs, of course. And during this particular period as well, we are partnering with a lot of the tertiary institutions. Today, actually, we have officers who will be out at the University of the West Indies as part of their pre-carnival activity, and we'll be sharing information. We have an information dissemination booth that would show the health impact, and again, sharing safety tips and so on.
Yeah, and it's important to remember, people, if you're going out there to have a good time, just remember, don't drink too much and put yourself in a position where the next morning when you wake up, you regret something. Thank you very much, Keita Kennedy and Seema Prasad, for coming on and chatting with us about this very important topic.